Good evening and welcome to my classroom. Last night we covered graphing points on a piece of graph paper, so we graphed a few points. Hopefully you've had some chance to practice that. Tonight, as promised, we're going to do some equations. Just got to get the right graphing linear equations, and the worksheet that I'm working from is actually from Math Worksheets for Kids website, and it's a really good little website to come from. I'm just going to clean my board because I was just working with someone and I didn't quite get it cleaned off. I thought I did, but oh well, those things happen. The very first equation that we're going to work on together is 7x minus y equals 7. Now, automatically when I'm graphing for an equation, I automatically come over here and put the xy, and that way I can remember exactly where to put the x. What number goes in the x? Goes straight across, and which number goes y? Up or down? So the books all show us or tell us that when we first replace an x in an equation to try to figure out that second number of y, that we should always try 0. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to say 7 times 0, and things are jammed together, it means multiply, minus y equals 7. We're just literally, by the way, pulling in numbers and hoping that they're going to work right. So sometimes we just need to take a second, pause, look at the equation, and think what numbers would really work in there and make it be true. So 7 times 0 is 0 minus y equals 7. You might remember from solving in two-step equations that we have to always move the number away from the letter side, and then we should cancel it out before we do that. A positive 0, so that would be a negative 0, so that means we're subtracting 0 from 7. So y is going to equal 7. Therefore, our first numbers to graph are 0 and 7. So hopefully you've gotten yourself a piece of graph paper. If you've not gotten a piece of graph paper, just Google numbered graph paper numbered graph paper or graph paper worksheets online, and you'll come up with some numbered graph paper, which makes it all the more easier. You're going to graph 0 and 7, then you're going to do the equation again, because when you're working on graphing linear equations, you need 2 sets of points. So my assistant's here, and I think he's going to try to get a part of our lesson. I think he's tried a couple of times already, and he's not been successful. Generally, with something like this, they would like us to replace the y the next time, but I usually take the path of least resistance, and I go back after the x. I try to use the tiniest numbers that I can to keep it on a piece of graph paper that's a reasonable size. Now, sometimes you can't avoid that. You do have to use numbers over 12, and in the next equation we will, but they're few and far between. So 7 times 1 is 7, minus y equals 7. This is a positive 7. We're going to move that, so that would be a negative 7, so we're going to bring minus 7 over here. And y is going to equal 0. So that means we're graphing 1 and 0. So with your piece of scrap paper or graph paper, make sure you graph on the x line, going straight down. Make sure you go to the 0 and then up to the positive 7. And then on the x line, you're going to choose the positive 1, and because it's 0, you're going to stay right on the line. And then you're going to draw a straight line on that, so it's going to look something like this. So it's going to look like this. Okay, can you see that? And what you're looking for is where it goes across the block here. So like right there, it goes across that block. And that means that those points should work in that equation. If you've done your job correctly and numbered it, then this should also go through 2 and 7 on that graph, on your piece of graph paper. So you've done your job correctly. You're looking for at least one more set in that group. Okay. A little disorganized here. Gracious sakes, good help is hard to find. Okay, we're going to do one that's just a little harder. just bear with me. I just got to drop down my sheet here. So x plus 12 equals 6y. So these are a little further apart. And gosh, it looks rough, doesn't it? But it's really not. Follow your rules. Always replace one of those letters with 0. Let's see if it'll work. And look at this, it works right off, right? So 0 plus 12 is 12 equals 6y. And we know that this means 6 times a number, so the opposite of that is divide that by 6. So y is going to equal 2. So right off on that piece of graph paper, we're going to come on the y line to the 0 and hop up to the positive 2 and give that little dot there. I'm going to do this equation again. And probably 6. Let's try 6. So I'm trying to find a number that it's going to equal and that 6 can divide in 2 evenly. So I was thinking, couldn't do 14 because 6 won't divide into it, but I can do 18. So that's why I chose the 6. That's 18. So 6 is going to divide into that 3 times. So y equals 3. So therefore the next set of points that we're graphing are 6 and 3. So we're going to come over here on the x line over to 6 and then hop up to 3 and then we're going to draw that line. Now if you've drawn your line correctly and your paper is big enough, you should also cut across points 12, negative 12, and 0. So that means that your line's going to go straight down through and you're going to hit that negative 12 and 0. So hopefully that's worked for you, and hopefully this has worked for you and been helpful. If you're interested in knowing a little more, just like, subscribe, share, and my information is down in the notes below. I look forward to seeing you again. Bye now.